Well, Colt, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, where are you joining us from?
So I'm currently in Ohio, pretty much central Ohio,
Uh-huh.
and born and raised.
Okay. And did you grow up in the outdoors?
Yeah, I did. For the most part, I've been trapping since I was around 11 or 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then I've always hunted, squirrel hunt, turkey hunt, did a little bit of deer hunting. Deer hunting was never my thing, man.
Mm,
I really like squirrel hunting. I really like turkey hunting, but I can do those in this. I can do, the squirrel hunting early in September,
yeah.
get my fill, do the turkey hunting in the spring, and then trap all fall and winter.
Uh-huh.
Um, so
Yeah.
that's my thing.
Right on. Right on. But you actually have a real job too.
Yep. I have a full-time job. I actually have a full-time job and a part-time job. And then I run Coyote Academy, the website and business on the side.
Uh-huh. Okay. Right on. Um, so I didn't realize you've been trapping that long. That's how old are you now?
I'm 34.
So 20 years. More.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Wow. Well, I came across your page, Coyote Academy, on Instagram, and it was like this one set, or I don't know if you put multiple sets, say multiple traps, do you still call that like if you have five or six in one area, is that still one set, or how do you define that?
I just call that one set location.
Okay, so you have I don't know how many coyotes. It was dark, but it was like five or six at least were all caught in this one set location.
Yeah, there were 10.
10.
Yeah, 10.
So I saw this and I was like, this is insane. I've never seen this many coyotes caught in leg holds at one time. And I did a week trapping in British Columbia with these two brothers,
Okay.
and they had caught, like, I think they said 10 wolves one time, but all in snares around a moose carcass. So they had basically snared the whole pack, right? But I'd
Right.
never seen that many animals caught in leg holds. Um, and so that was pretty impressive. 10,
Well,
10 coyotes.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Uh, the most that I've ever been taken and that I've ever done, I did it with a partner last year, was 13 at one spot.
Wow. And
So,
so
but yeah,
is there like a dead a carcass or something there
yeah,
or
there's a grocery store there,
okay. Hmm.
So there's a couple places, and I trap out in Oklahoma. I go out west and trap out in Oklahoma. And I trap on some ranchers, some different landowners, and then I pretty much try and take care of the coyotes that kill the livestock.
Uh-huh.
So
So
they
that
used to
was the
have a
recent trip you were on because you
yes,
sent
sir.
me you actually just posted your latest YouTube video a couple days ago and late November you hit the road. It was a 16-hour drive for you and so you were going to
Well,
Oklahoma.
it's like 16 and a half. It's like 1,200 miles.
Uh-huh.
Um, I tried to drive it all in one straight shot. Just took my dog with me this year. It was he's been my buddy, my trapping buddy since I got out of school, since I got out of PA school. So
Uh-huh. So you did it in one stretch there, and one thing you mentioned in the video, this YouTube, was the dog's been caught a couple times, so he doesn't really like the traps.
yeah, so he just wises up. He knows I'm
Yeah,
out there doing it, and he can't resist he can resist, but he really likes the bait that I
yeah.
use. I make my own bait and I sell it online at my website, but he really, really likes that bait I use. And I actually did catch him while I was out there.
You did.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time either.
No,
So
that was the fourth time I've caught him.
it's good bait then.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't seem like a stupid dog, so it must be good
No,
bait.
no. Yeah, he's a very, very smart dog.
Is
Very
he
good dog.
a German Shepherd or Belgian Malinois?
No, he's a red heeler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right
And
on.
so my last name's Morris, so I named him Chuck.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Um, okay, so you make this trip every year to Oklahoma?
Yep, since the last 2 years. So I just started going out the last 2 years. Some of the laws and regulations in Oklahoma changed for trapping, that kind of benefited out of state trappers. So they
Okay.
used to have, you had to, place signs. You had to put a sign down in the yard where you're trapping. If you're trapping on private ground now, you do not have to do that unless the landowner requests that.
Uh-huh.
They used to have a minimum, or I'm sorry, a maximum of 50 traps that you could bring.
Mm.
Which, I mean, you can do a lot of damage with 50 traps, but this year, I brought 150.
Oh wow. Wow.
So they also changed the licensure a little bit, which I think kind of benefits trappers as well. So I know you were talking about that in one of your videos, how the licensing kind of poo-pooed some of the out-of-state hunters. Well, it actually benefited the out-of-state trappers.
Okay. Well, there's one positive. I mean, at least it benefited you.
Yeah, the one guy
I
that goes
I felt a
there.
little sore when I spent $806 to go whitetail hunting 40
Yeah,
minutes,
last year I spent
45 minutes from my house.
right. Last year I spent almost $600, and then this year I only spent 200.
Okay. Well, at least they did a favor to the trapping community. So how did you get hooked up with these landowners in Oklahoma then?
So my whole thing with trapping was, I just super goal oriented, and I wanted to go, 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 and I ended up catching over 100 coyotes in Ohio consecutively for 3 to 4 years. And I got to the point where I said, I'd really like to go out west and see if I could do that in a week or 10 days.
Uh-huh.
Because I heard all these stories. I'm on a bunch of forums, and I heard all these stories about guys going out west and trapping these, beautiful bobcats, or, going and doing like depredation work with coyotes, messing up livestock. And so everyone always talked about Kansas feed yards, Kansas,
Right.
and I didn't want to piggyback on those guys. I didn't want to go in, and because I'm sure some of them are still trapping. So I saw that the laws and regulations kind of um, went for the betterment of trappers in Oklahoma. And I was like, okay, so I started cold calling, and I cold called as many people as I could and talked to as many guys as I could talk to. And
How
some
did you find
yeses.
their contact information?
Um, I used Hunt Stand.
Okay. Great. Yeah,
So I used Hunt
they're one of our
Stand, and then
sponsors. We love Hunt Stand.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I use Hunt Stand, and then I have the subscription for it, which I think is like $29,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's awesome.
like cheap.
Yeah.
And found out who the landowner was, found out where their address was, their mailing address, and the property address. And then all I did was just sent them a letter and then called them.
Mhm.
Some guys called me and said, "What are you doing? Sending me a letter in the mail?" I said, "Oh, I just want to, trap on your property if that would be something, you'd be willing to do."
Mhm.
One of the guys that ran a feed yard, he didn't want me on there. He said that those guys, they hunt them or run dogs on them. So,
Mm.
you know, that's fine. But that's how I found out all the information. And then I just looked them up online. I just typed them in on
Yeah.
Google search and got a number to the property and called and called. And
Yeah.
if I didn't get a number, I just check marked it. And I said, okay, this is something, if I want to pursue, just remember that.
Right. Right. Well,
Um,
so trapping still, there's not a lot of free opportunity to do stuff in the outdoors these days. If you
right.
if you want to hunt, usually you've got something of value has to exchange, meaning usually you're paying for it. But hey, these guys have livestock. You show them what you do online.
Mm-hmm.
You're good at it. What? Yeah, it's like okay, well, sure, why not come help me out?
Oh, and some of them are even more than happy to compensate you.
Yeah. Okay.
Either whether that be like mileage getting out there, help you with your license,
Uh-huh.
or even hook you up with a place to stay.
Yeah. And so I guess you had a hookup for that on a modest like a camp house there or something.
Yep, I had a little small ranch house that I stayed in. I think it was a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, which is a nice place for me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I got hooked up with a gentleman, and very fortunate to have been hooked up with him. And he owns, I think, around 150,000 acres out
Okay.
there.
Well. Well, yeah, we'll exchange his contact info after this, and I'll see if he has any big deer up there.
I'm sure. I mean, he has a lot of OLAP.
Sure. So you started at an early age. Did you have someone that taught you?
Yes, I had. So the gentleman that taught me was right down the road, about a mile and a half.
Uh-huh.
And then after, I started learning from him, I was talking to my grandpa before he passed, and he said, "Well, we used to run traps, me and your uncle." And he took me out to the barn, and I was like, where has this been all my life? Like, but he was getting older in age, retired, and my ma'am didn't really let him venture too far away from the house.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what kind of traps do you typically use?
I
Do you ever do snares, or is it always leg holds?
So you can't snare out in Oklahoma, from my knowledge, but in
Okay.
Ohio, I do snare, or cable restraints.
Yeah.
They have to have a deer stop on them. They have to have a certain breakaway. I think it's a 280-pound breakaway, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check it.
Mm.
But I run footholds, usually a number two size, anywhere from a Duke number two to a Bridger number two to a no BS trap.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with those or at all, but they're just all different brands.
Yeah. No, I have some of mine right here.
Oh, yeah. Heck
They're a little
yeah.
rusty. I have
Those look
not.
like a Duke.
Yeah, I have Dukes. But I haven't trapped in probably 5 or 6 years, and I only did it for 2 seasons. I had one property that
Yeah.
was pretty small, and I have that guy, and then I got this one.
The MB
And
550. Those are good right out of the box canine traps. Yeah.
and you can tell they're a little rusty, and I haven't taken very good care of them. But
No, that doesn't matter. All you got to do is dip them and they'll look brand new.
yeah, I had a little bit of success. I never caught a bobcat. I caught some coyotes, but I
Cool.
really wanted to catch a bobcat. And then it was just a small deer hunting property I had, but there wasn't any livestock on it, and that's why I was like able to trap there. Places I have access to now have a bunch of livestock, and so the landowners are not. They don't really want me. How do the cows not mess with your stuff? Like,
Um, I don't trap inside the fence, I guess.
okay,
I
uh,
trap outside the fence. I
yeah,
trap on the comings and goings.
yeah,
I don't just set right up on like a lot of guys will set right on a dead cow or a dead deer or dead whatever you want to call it. I don't like to do that. I think you set on that animal, you catch one or two, and maybe a few days go by, you catch another one. If you set farther away, or in my opinion, if you set farther away, like on the routes that they're using to come in, you can really start picking them up. And then if you start to kind of fade away on those spots, then set by the cow, or the dead deer,
hmm
um,
okay.
if that makes sense.
These guys that I spent a week with in British Columbia, the community had their number on speed dial. Whenever something would get hit, moose, deer, whatever, or a cow would die, they
Right.
just call them and they go load it up in their truck, and then they'd haul it off into the woods somewhere, and then use that to catch wolves off of. It was pretty cool. And then they also there was a slaughterhouse there, and all of the guts
Yep.
they would the slaughterhouse, so they didn't have to dispose of it. They just put it in these plastic barrels for these dudes, and they would go pick it up, and there's just like huge frozen blocks of innards and
Yep.
guts and everything. Yeah, that was one of the I always tell people that was probably one of the best trips I ever went on. And we
I bet
got
you that was a oh, I bet you that was a phenomenal
yeah,
experience.
and I've told this story before, but I mean I wanted to get a wolf really bad,
Yeah.
and I'm going to these hunting shows, these big expos, and there's outfitters from all over the lower 48 and Canada and blah blah. To hunt a wolf, like your odds of success, the outfitters will be like, well, 20% that you get a shot opportunity. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I want a wolf. Like I don't really care. Plus, I'll learn all this other stuff like on this trap line,
Yeah.
and that was like they're like 80% you'll get a wolf. Plus, you're gonna get lynx and Wolverine maybe, plus coyotes, and yeah, I'll show
Yep.
you. I got the links. Let's see.
Oh, very nice. Oh, that's sweet. See,
Chasing a pine marten there that we also caught on that trip. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Never caught a pine marten, never caught a lynx.
No.
Caught plenty of bobcats in Ohio, but never been able to keep a cat. I've never caught one out of state. I've tried
Oh,
in
you have to
Oklahoma,
release
but
them in Ohio,
yes, sir.
huh? Okay. Where were you? I saw you caught a red fox on one of your things, and you had to release it as well.
So that was, uh, pardon me, that was on the Ohio line, my
Okay.
home line,
Yeah.
and so I don't like to just. That was a female red fox, so I
Mm-hmm.
just let it back out, let it go. Usually we'll take the males, but if I get a good female in her paw and everything's still really good and intact, she
Yeah.
hasn't fought much. I'd like to try and let them go,
Okay.
and usually try and give them a little additional help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the fox numbers are struggling,
In Ohio,
and that probably has a lot to do with the coyotes.
the coyotes and I think also the cats.
Uh-huh.
I think the cats are a huge problem, especially with our turkey population. Some of our other like nesting um, species, even some of like the ungulates, the small deer, the little fawns, like it's
Mm.
it gets to be a problem with those bobcats for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I've shot some bobcats on various leases in Oklahoma, but the one thing that's different there is like they have a season for them. Texas is the Wild West with predators. Like
Oh yeah,
there's the only thing we protect here are black bear,
yeah,
and like
really.
yeah, oh, there's no closed season. Now there's anti-hunting groups. These Yahoos Texans for mountain lions. They're trying to get mountain lions protected, but we have an increasing mountain lion population. I live in a very urban area, and there was one that showed up in my county. Never heard of that before. He was
Yeah,
people have three. You know, everyone has a ring camera these days,
yep,
and like there was three different houses that got this mountain lion as it was just making its way through Collin County. This was like last month.
really.
One got hit in Longview, which is like 2 hours east of me. Actually, a deputy hit it in his patrol car, and there's a picture of him just holding up, smiling like he hit this thing. But yeah, we don't. And then coyotes, no closed season. Bobcats, no closed season. No nothing. Yeah.
That's insane.
Now the trade off is our our pelts aren't worth anything, right? It's
Right, right.
they don't get thick and furred up like your Ohio dogs. But yeah, you probably lose money by the time you tan them and everything. Spent time
I'll tell you
fleshing them out.
those Oklahoma coyotes looked beautiful,
Yeah.
well furred, looked really nice, and I've been contacted by a few people down in southern Texas to come and try and do some like depredation work. I just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
I work a full time two jobs. I just don't have enough vacation and time to get down there and do it, man. I
Yeah.
would love. When I got the permission, I guess to segue back to that, when I was getting the permission out there, I did a lot of cold calls, and then I said, you know what, screw this. I got on a plane. I flew to Dallas, Texas, then to Amarillo, got in a rental car, and drove north and rented a little motel and stayed
Just
that
went to
night.
knocking on doors, huh?
And then I woke up, yeah, Saturday and Sunday. I was worried though, because it's the Bible Belt, and I didn't want to go and show up on someone's doorstep on Sunday morning
Yeah.
and then be like, hey, this is not your time, this is God's time, or something like
Uh
that.
huh. Uh-huh.
But everyone was very welcoming, open arms. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie, like everyone that I've met there is so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the South for you.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
even the no's were nice. They even told me no in a nice way.
yeah. Yeah. Um. So, do you actually sell your hides?
Yeah, yeah, I get them. I actually have been tanning them all,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll start putting those on the website, and I'll start selling tan fur. So tan coyotes, and you'll either be able to buy like, your Rainbow Coalition from Ohio, where you're getting your reds and your brindles and all these funky collars, and then you'll be able to get more so of your primo Western type coyotes, and the prices just vary.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got to take one of everything that we caught on that British Columbia trap line. And then after that, they were like, if you want a second one of X, like if you want we caught 3 lynxes. If like, if you you keep the nicest, biggest one. If you want the other ones, you have to buy them from them because like, we can make good money off of those. Yeah. So I actually did get another lynx and gave it to my taxidermist just so that they could do whatever they wanted with it. But we only got one wolf. But the thing that they were the most excited about was the wolverine we caught, because they said that's like a 1 out of every 5 trips somebody catches a wolverine. So
a little rare.
Mm-hmm. And we got a fisher too, which was kind of rare for where they were. Yeah.
I want to see if I can show you something real quick.
Silver foxes up there, and like black and silver foxes.
We do not.
No, they have those in British Columbia. That was the one thing that we didn't get that was like super cool looking.
Yeah, that would have been sweet.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to show you. I don't know if you can be able to see this, but that's an albino coyote.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome. Sometimes you see black ones, like melanistic ones.
Yep.
People shoot.
I see a lot of those. I've never seen an albino.
Where's that one? Is that yours?
That was here in Ohio. Yep.
You caught it.
My buddy actually got that while he was squirrel hunting.
I
wish I could take credit for it, but I try to be an honest man. So no, I can't say I took
super
that
rare. I don't think I've seen an albino coyote before. Well, so let's talk about the art of trapping. It's unfortunately, luckily you're keeping it alive, but there's not as many people doing it as there was. And you're talking about something in trapping that pushed westward expansion in this country long before the gold rush. I mean, the beaver trade, like that's why people really started going west. And I think a lot of people don't realize the impact trapping had on, our country's migration west. And then, I'd say, I don't know, probably the 80s, 90s, the prices of furs just started to drop.
Yeah. And the fur boom was in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm. So, and people aren't going to do things that don't make them money, right? So we have less people trapping. So luckily you had a mentor that helped teach you.
Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of young folks trapping these days.
It's kind of funny that you bring that up because like the statistical number for the average age of a trapper is 62 years old.
62. Wow.
I believe that's the average age of, people that are trapping.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I have a lot of younger friends that trap. I don't know how they get the statistic. I don't know if that's from being in a state association or being a part of like the National Trappers Association. I don't know how they go about that, but I don't know a lot of young guys that trap.
Yeah.
I do know a lot of old guys. I have a lot of older friends that trap, and they're very, very knowledgeable, so it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't gone on that trap line trip, and that was mostly snares, the wolf we did catch in a foothold.
That's sweet.
And the thing was so strong, like where that foothold, it was sunken in a block of ice into the lake, and just like put a little piece of meat or something under the snow there so that the crows and eagles couldn't see it.
Right.
And then we got to where it was supposed to be, and Lloyd was like, I know it was right here. This is where I said it. It's gone. And the wolf had drug it out of the ice and then went to the bank of the shore of the lake and eventually got it tangled up in a tree and was very much alive when we found it. And so dispatched it.
That was exciting.
22, yeah.
Probably puckered you up a little bit.
Yeah. So describe a typical dirt set of yours, because I some of the videos I watched of yours, it's dirt sets, right? And it's leg holds, footholds, and then talk about some of the tools that you'll need, and then what if the ground's frozen? How does that impact it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, walk us through some of that stuff.
So kind of to break it down from, I guess, maybe even A to Z is you have your trap, you want to get your trap, you want to make sure it's the right size for your target species. The dirt hole is pretty much the most basic set you can use. I use it's called a trench set, or kind of like a step down set, except what I do is I just try and I just kind of V out a guide, and at the apex of that V, or the top of where that V is, that's where I put my hole. Below that's where I bed my trap. And then you're going to need anchoring system, so you're going to need like some type of whether it's rebar stakes,
So this is what I
or
have.
a Berkshire. That's a standard Berkshire disposable stake. You can either pull those and reuse them, or cut the cable and put a new stake on. But you're also going to need a stake driver. You're going to need some type of sod buster or hammer, mallet. It helps if it has a digging tool. That just one less tool you have to carry with that, hammer or
So
mallet.
I don't have that, but so that's a trowel, like with a hammer, with a,
So they have like the groundhog tools that have the trowel, the hammer, and the digging, like the claw. I want to say it's the claw.
okay.
It'd be like the claw of a hammer, except it's just a straight blade.
Uh,
And then you can use that to kind of help fabricate your set, or kind of make any adjustments to your set if the trap's not fitting properly. So all those things are going to be necessary. You're going to want to have some type of pan cover. A lot of guys like to use like polyfill and put it under the pan. I don't go that route. I just use straight peat moss. I use peat moss, and I just dry it out over the summer, and then that's what I use to cover where my pan and pretty much the inside of my jaws are. And then I just cover with the surrounding dirt if it's dry. If it's wet, I bring my own dry dirt, or some guys use wax dirt. The problem you can have with wax dirt if you don't make it correctly is you can get scorching to your dirt from the wax. You can burn your wax, and that puts off an odor. Some guys don't like it. Some guys think it's problematic.
mm-hmm.
I just go with straight dry dirt. I can buy it from the stone quarry. They ship it here. It's like $50 for 2 tons. It lasts
Oh,
me
well,
years.
yeah. But
So
some of those Oklahoma sets, you didn't even use the peat moss to cover the pan.
no, because it was dry. The
Yeah.
weather was beautiful out there.
My
And
my
the
sifter
only
here, that's
yep,
another valuable
that's the
tool.
exact same sifter I use. It's very lightweight.
Uh-huh.
I also have like a heavy duty sifter that's made out of like steel. It's a little heavier, and if you're thinking about going out of state, you try and cut down all the weight you can, because
Yeah.
you're driving 1,200 miles.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to have that trowel, whether it's to dig your hole, or you're going to get an auger, whether that's on like a drill, like a DeWalt drill, or anything like that. But I would recommend you have the support handle, because they will crank your wrist sometime.
Yeah. Okay.
You can you can kind of do a lot of things when it comes to carrying your equipment, whether it's a tote, a bag, a bucket. So whatever you want to do, that's completely fine. Just some people separate their tools from their bait and lure, and some people don't give a darn. you
Right.
know, um, it's just whatever makes you feel confident. That's what I would say. That's what I would recommend when going out and setting. Don't go there and set a trap and think, "Ah, I hope I catch one." Go there and say, I'm going to catch one. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of when they come through.
And so you dig your hole, set your trap, how much clearance do you want? Like, is it below the plane of
Yep.
the surface?
Yeah. So if you can imagine the ground, we're at ground level. I
Yeah.
dig down probably 8 inches. Now, my trap doesn't sit down 8 inches. My
Right.
trap is actually sitting probably, it's like hovering in air pretty much. But that's also for my chain to sit in the bottom. So my trap doesn't sit on it and teeter totter.
Right.
And then I usually, my rule of thumb is about 9 inches pan centered from the front lip of the hole. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Everything's in that V, and it's coming back. My hole's up here, and then I'm setting, 9 inches pan center. I'm straight on. some guys set to the left, some guys set to the right, some guys think, a coyote's right pawed. Okay, well, if you play statistics, if all their feet are towards the right side, then you have a 33% chance of getting them. If their feet are towards the middle, you have a 60%. If their feet are towards, all towards the left side, you have a 33%. So I try and play statistics, I guess. And the better the statistics, the higher the probability should be that I have an animal in the trap.
Mm-hmm. I saw one where you caught both of its front feet.
Yep. Yeah, that's usually like
I've
when
never done that. Is that pretty rare?
Yeah, a lot of it, will, when you catch them by the both front feet, a lot of it's with your pan tension. I run a pretty high pan tension, but it's also you got them pretty much pot committed.
Yeah.
They've got all their chips in. They're ready to dive into that hole, and they just put all their weight on that trap pan with both paws. Like I want to go in there, and it's just with how, if you could think of it, when that V comes back, it's also dished down. So they're not going to want to step on the side here. They're going to step right in that center. And I try to call it like a runway from a like an airplane strip. If you think about them coming in, landing, that's kind of how I approach that set.
One thing though, in you're trapping out on this Oklahoma one video. I mean, these are all out in ag fields
Yep.
or areas where cows are grazing essentially. So there's not a lot of like structure. And when I was fooling around with it, I was trying to like put something like trying to make them kind of funnel into where I wanted them to go.
You like
I don't know if
blocking
that's
them down a little too much.
Do what?
Were you blocking them down? Like had a
Yeah.
big high backing, had something sitting here.
I tried to have something in the back and like try to force them to go where I want them. Like
Yeah.
but that you weren't doing anything like that, so maybe I was stupid of me. I don't know.
No, it's just how I have developed my system over the course of 20 years. I don't, with that set, and I'll have a full demonstration on my master class of how I make it.
Yeah.
But you don't need a backing with that set. Because it sits, that hole was actually not setting, it's not going in at ground level, it's going in below ground level. I don't know how I can explain that. But yeah, you don't need a backing for that. And then all you really have to do, you kind of cut that out when you're looking to set a trap, and you just say, well, where are they? Where's the paws? Where's the scat? Where's the sign at? And then where is the most amount of sign at?
Yeah.
Just because I see a track running down a two track, that doesn't mean I'm going to set it. Now, when I get up to this center pivot and it's V'ing off, because they go in circles. Okay, you got to V off with a point. It's kind of bottlenecking them. And then you look, okay, there's tracks and scat and everything. So if you just, and I have to give a lot of credit to my dog for helping me with that over the years. My dog's 7 years old, been with me since 2017, like I said. And man, that rascal, he is something else. He is.
So wait, so how does he help you?
So when he was a puppy, I would get pieces of coyote, like privates, genitalia, whether that's their testicles or their vagina. And then I would hold on to those. I'd keep them. I would store them in a refrigerator or a freezer. And then during the early spring or even early summer, I would train my dog, put a shock collar on him. And I would also keep raccoon pieces or possum pieces, and I would plant them all around my property. And then I'd just take him for a walk. And, he would find stuff, and I'd say, no, I don't want you to find that. Don't you, and then if he would keep going to it, then I would, buzz him, give him a little rumble. And then if he didn't mind me, then I would shock him. And then when he would find the coyote, whether that's just little scrap pieces of fur, I would have a little pouch with me and I'd feed him treats. So, and then it just got to the point where all he wanted to do was find coyote scent. And yeah, and then I taught my female the same way. So that's a little that's a little snippet into the master class because I don't usually tell people that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Oh, that's interesting for sure. So don't tell us what's the main thing in your bait, but I mean it's got to be something that's pretty rancid. I'm assuming.
It's bobcat meat
Okay.
base. It's
Uh-huh.
a bobcat meat base, and then I make a solution. I was fortunate enough from my mentor. My mentor's name is Dave Thompson, by the way.
Uh-huh.
He's a great guy, military guy, um, and he helped me out with the formula and the recipe, and so I have to give him a lot of credit to that as well.
Okay. Right on. Right on. Um, I would say on the trap line trip I did, it was so cold and the stuff was frozen, so it didn't stink. But I did a bear hunt in Alberta, a baited bear hunt.
Okay, yeah,
That is the worst smelling experience. You have so the trappers up there, they trap the beavers, keep the pelts, then they take the tails, sell them to the bear outfitters for like $1 each. I mean, it's cheap.
okay.
They put it in the ground and let it ferment, and then take it out in the spring, and it is the worst smelling thing. And they put it on the front of the ATV, and then you ride with it blowing in your face the whole time. Rancid beaver meat. Yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah, so a lot of guys actually do that. They'll bury, or they'll grind up bait and they'll put it in buckets and bury it and then take it out over. But then they usually put that solution with it, and it gives it a whole different odor. It's a little bit more appealing to the human nose when it's
Yeah.
got that solution in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How focused are you on scent control?
Not focused at
I
all.
didn't. I mean, I didn't think so from
Yeah,
your videos.
no.
Those guys up there that I went with, they were very adamant about that. And
Yeah, and maybe it's different when you're going after bear. I just I don't it doesn't bother
no,
me.
the
I
wolf guys, yeah.
Oh yeah, or yeah, I'm sorry, with the wolf
And when they
guys.
would handle the trap, they would like grab a spruce bough or something and rub the spruce all over their hands before they would handle the trap.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no,
yeah.
no, I don't. They know you're there. Their noses are so good. Like they have that long snout with that olfactory nerve. It's
So you just concede that you're like I can't hide this,
yeah,
and yeah, okay,
but going back to what you said with the wolves, maybe they don't see any humans. Maybe they
yeah,
don't come in contact with. So maybe that's why they are doing it.
mm,
Where I trap in Oklahoma, they see humans. They smell diesel fuel.
yeah.
They see metal posts, metal equipment all the time. So I don't worry about them smelling my hands or I've peed in a trap hole before and caught a coyote the next day.
Wow.
I have a
Uh,
YouTube video of it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, and I'm definitely one of those guys that just pees out of the tree stand because
Yeah.
there's research that says after 20 minutes, urine just smells like urine, and they can't tell
Yep.
what animal made it anyway.
Right.
It just dissipates into the ground, and then all that's left is just a pee smell. But is responsible for it? Animals can't decipher that. Um, okay, so not really concerned about scent. What would you say is the number one reason why a set is unsuccessful? If there's coyotes in the area, like obviously, if you just set it up and there's nothing around, then yeah, you
Um, Number one reason why
or just some common mistakes.
common mistakes with using certain products is I don't want to dive into anyone's products or anything, but
Yeah.
some people skimp out on certain materials that you need to make a good product. So it may come off very like smelling very strong,
Uh-huh.
but all those those smells are all volatile and they just dissipate quickly. So after you can take a bottle and take out a glob of lure and put it in a hole or rub it on a post for a scent post, and you come back the next day and you can't even smell it. But the day prior it was loud as can be. um, I don't know. To me, that's not something I would want to use.
Right.
I also don't have a lot of luck using beaver meat for coyotes. Now I know
Mm.
guys that do. I know guys that love beaver meat. So I don't know if it's. I don't know if I can sit here and say that there's like a one set in stone thing that makes a bait bad, but I think it's all independent really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All variable on the trapper and what they, you know, a lot of these guys that have big lure and bait businesses, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They make a good solid product.
I went and the only thing I had left from my lure collection was this
Oh
Dunlop
yeah,
winterized bobcat
winterized
urine.
bobcat urine.
Never caught a bobcat, but I tried.
Well, hey, you got a lot left in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
but
see,
it's probably 4 years old.
hey, if it's good stuff, I'm sure it's still good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try again. I mean, I've got all these traps, and like I want to do it again. So it's so much fun too, and it's just something. It's something that I was always just checking them in between deer hunts. Like that's when I was like making my rounds, and
Yeah.
there's something else to do. Um, Super exciting as well when you catch one. You catch a lot of them, so I always got. You
It's
probably
always
don't.
exciting.
You love it so much,
I
and
do.
then a lot of years though it's multiple dogs in the same set location, like sometimes two, sometimes four.
Right.
Um, so when you and this was what was going through my head was so you catch one, that one doesn't make such a ruckus that it just deters all the other ones from being there.
And in my opinion, there's nothing better than having a coyote in a trap to catch another coyote.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's probably the best bait lure that you could have if you're wanting to tag up on multiple coyotes.
Really? Well, I mean, proof's in the pudding for you, I guess. One sec. I gotta tell my daughter what soccer jersey she's supposed to wear here.
Oh, you're fine.
Sorry. Navy. Yeah. Okay. So the best lure is another coyote. Interesting. Do you ever specifically target the bobcats, and do you change anything for those sets?
I tried, like I said, I tried to target a few out in Oklahoma. There was some like bluffs and everything and
Mm-hmm.
sheer faces with rocks, and I was really just doing blind sets. And then if you can use flagging, I would use flagging for cats definitely. And whether that's I don't know what the laws and regs are for Oklahoma because I didn't cat trap out there this year. But if you can hang a CD and let it catch the wind and reflect, that cats cannot. I mean, if they see that, they get pretty interested.
Huh. I tried a stake with I put a little hole in a turkey feather,
Yep,
and I ran some fluorocarbon through that, and then tied it to that, and just let that thing dangle
that's
in the wind.
perfect.
But
I
again,
mean,
I didn't catch one, so what do I know?
but I mean, that's exactly something. Feathers work well. CDs work well. Anything you can buy those fake collared feathers and you know use them.
Mm-hmm. Um, so would you say that Oklahoma is more productive than Ohio?
Oh, very. Yeah, the coyote density is uh, off the charts out there. I
Uh,
mean, I went out there last year and went with a partner, did 180 in 9 days,
you caught
and
180
then
in 9 days.
yep,
Oh my
and
god!
then I went out there this year, did 104 in 5 days by myself.
Oh man!
Um,
Wow.
and then, but a typical year here in Ohio, I have to drive like 200. I was driving 212 miles a day in Ohio, running my trap line, and I wasn't having near the success I was having out in Oklahoma, to
Yeah.
say the least.
Huh.
I now I did catch 100 coyotes. I always try and catch 100 coyotes here in Ohio.
Yeah.
I'm up to 55 here this year. So
And is there a season? Is there like a fur bearer season where you have to?
there's a fur bearer season, but there's no season on coyotes here.
Okay. Okay. Um, what would you say are the ideal conditions,
Oh,
and what are the not non-ideal for trapping?
well, I guess it depends on if you're wanting prime fur. If you're wanting prime fur, then you're going to wait. But if you wait for prime fur, you also run into the road bumps like rubs or say maybe they got their guard hairs pulled out, or they've been going through barbed wire, over and over, and they're just missing hair. So for me, here in Ohio, I try and trap as early as I possibly can. So typically around October 20th. You're starting to get into a little bit of the dispersal. You're catching those young of the years. You're catching maybe the 1 to 2 year olds, and if you're unlucky, you're catching the mom and dad. And I shouldn't say unlucky, but they just usually don't have good fur. It's good to catch them. It's very, very good to catch them. But if you're just talking about a fur aspect, which I think that's what we're on right now, you don't want to catch the big brawnies, because sometimes their fur is just broke and it just looks really, really flat.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Let's just be quiet. I'm gonna get whoever's dog that is. I'm gonna record it so I can try to delete it.
That's my dog.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll try to like use that, and then I'll capture it, and then I'll in editing I'll try to remove all of that in the background. I don't know if it'll work or not, but it might. Okay, so that's how you want to target prime condition fur. What about prime conditions weather-wise?
Oh man, weather-wise, I mean, it's kind of like the same here in Ohio. Early October. Weather's usually
Like is for successful sets, does wind like super windy affect that? How does rain affect it?
I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to text my wife, tell her to shut the dog up.
No.
That's
Chuck?
Chuck. Yeah, Chuck Morris.
Uh-huh.
Sorry about that, man.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. No worries. I love dogs. I've got a lab, my duck hunting buddy.
I know, but I know you're busy. You got a life, I don't like people waiting around for me.
No sweat at all. You have two dogs?
Yeah, Miley and Chuck. Red healer and a blue healer, and I got them both cut, and I wish I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she got them toned
Okay,
down.
cool. Okay. Yeah, so as far as weather, does moisture in the soil affect, does rain affect it? Humidity, wind? I don't know, what's like an ideal day versus something that when you're like, oh, this weather sucks for trapping. I'm not going to have as many catches.
Oh, so moisture, yeah, moisture sucks. Moisture, yeah, it's no fun. I mean, it's manageable, but no fun. An ideal day would be, gosh, high 30s, low 40s during the day, and then dropping down to the low teens at night.
Okay.
The cold gets them moving. That they got to eat. To they got to have calories. As it goes for wind, it just depends. Wind doesn't bother me. You just got to know how to play the wind. If you got a typical, you typically have a southwest or a westward wind, whether it's north or south. But then sometimes you get those weird fronts that come through where you get that eastern wind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about, the wind can mess you up, but if you're kind of ahead of the eight ball there, you can figure out how to kind of overcome that hurdle. With moisture being in the ground, moisture being in the air, I mean, it's miserable. A lot of people think it's miserable to be outside when it's raining. Well, if you're running a trap line and it rains, you have to go out. If you don't want to go out deer hunting, you don't have to go. I have to run my traps every 24 hours. It doesn't matter if I leave them and it starts raining. Well, you got to go and check them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that falls onto the outdoorsman's responsibility or the trapper's responsibility. And you know, before front is always a good catch. After the front is always a good catch for me. I love both of them equally.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But when you start to get in those low temps and you got moisture in the air, whether that's a freeze thaw, if you're having high temps throughout the day and everything's thawing out, and then it gets below freezing at night and everything freezes up and you're not ready for that, then that freezes your trap in the ground and it will not. I mean, most of the time it won't operate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you try to like to have like wax sand or wax dirt, um, peat moss, dry dirt. It just
Right. Right. Okay. So before or after the front, it's prime time. We don't get a lot of those nights where temperatures drop into the teens here in Texas.
yeah.
But we do. I do go. My buddy has a ranch in South Texas where those guys were trying to get you to come down. I'm sure in the brush country, so many
Yeah.
coyotes, and we snare the fence line, and
Okay. Yeah.
it is every day coyotes. They caught a
Yeah.
mountain lion.
Really.
Oh yeah, yeah, big one.
Dude, I would love to catch a mountain
It's
lion.
over their fireplace in their camp house now. Yeah.
That's on my bucket list, man. I'm
They
not
had
kidding
this
you.
giant 10 point. They don't name a lot of deer, but this one was like a special one. They called him Chaco because he had these chocolate antlers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Chaco disappeared, and then like 2 weeks later, they caught this 140-pound male mountain lion. Yeah, and it was very much alive when my buddy's dad walked up on it and ended up shooting with his
Wow.
pistol. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. One more question though, as we're wrapping things up here. Do you think? And this one's kind of sad to think about, but do you think that with the anti-hunters assault on trapping, you have trapping hounds? They're kind of like the low-hanging fruit in our
Yeah.
community as
Yes.
outdoorsmen. Um, do you think that'll go away with our generation?
No, I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think they've been battling that since, what PETA was founded in 1980, I think.
Mm,
So I think, they're going to battle that, I think,
yeah.
till the end of our days.
Mm,
Um, it might get to a point where they try to outlaw trapping everywhere. If they do that, I think that's a really, really bad decision on the indoorsman's, um, you know, part there, because everything's still going to need trapped,
mm,
and everyone's going to have to rely on a nuisance wildlife operator then. So now they're all going to be charged. Everyone's going to get
right.
charged to trap.
This is like the California mountain lion management plan, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the cats still die. People don't talk about it because the nuisance trappers don't post it on social media.
Right.
Nobody sees it.
Well,
It's out of
and
sight, out of mind.
I've got a lot of I guess I've got a lot of negative um remarks and comments from posting like, why would you post this? You're the reason that trappers are losing. I don't know if I'm the reason that trappers are going to lose anything. I hope not, because I love trapping so much, and I feel like it's a part of my heritage. um you can sit there and you can watch all these guys shoot a nice deer, and arrow goes through them and they just are running and it's just pumping blood out. No one bats an eye at that. No one cares
No.
about that. Or they're predator hunting and you know shoot this coyote and his leg literally is just hanging off, and then he's running in circles and they shoot him again. Or they got him up with thermals, and they shoot, and you can't see blood, but you know what it is. If you're smart enough,
Right.
that stuff pumping out is not you just air.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So all these guys promote their sport or promote their heritage, and you've never really seen too many trappers promote anything. and,
Mm-hmm.
and i and I kind of have to look back to the fur boom in the 70s. Everyone was making good money off fur. I mean, people were getting in fights in creeks. People were pulling guns on each other. People were stealing fur out of their trap and picking up roadkill raccoons off the road and selling them. making decent money back then.
Yeah.
No one wanted to say anything. No one wanted to publicize anything. They didn't want to get it out there that, hey, this isn't Disney with, we don't have teeth on our traps, and we're not, out here like the old man from the Fox and the Hound that looks like a degenerate. Like
Right.
I'm a normal person. I have a normal job. You know, I want to do everything I can to promote trapping in a good light, because you see in those videos and say you're a trapper, maybe you would have never thought to set 15 traps at one spot and catch 10 coyotes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now that you've seen that, you're like, oh wow, this maybe opens up a new avenue for me, or a new, window of opportunity for me when I'm setting up these properties.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting paid, like, if you're getting compensated for your time, especially out in Oklahoma, you got to catch as many as you can to make it, profitable or worth your while.
Mm.
And you know, gosh, I hope I never have any negative impact on trapping. To be honest with you, I hope I understand that it's taboo to a lot, but I just don't think people are educated on it.
Yeah. Well, the fact that we won in Colorado with, repelling that effort to ban mountain lion hunting and bobcat hunting,
Yeah, I
that
donated
that gave me a lot of hope, a lot of hope, because those people that voted, most of them weren't hunters.
yeah,
So that I didn't think we have a chance in hell of winning that, and we did, by like 10%, which was an astronomical number, all things considered. So that gave me a lot of hope for the future of predator, hunting, which is really just wildlife management at its core,
right.
especially in Colorado. I mean, I can't say in Texas because we don't have a mountain lion season. We treat them like coyotes. In Colorado,
Yeah,
they're extremely well managed. They have quotas. Like, I've killed a mountain lion in Colorado, and we had, before we went hunting that day, we had to check and make sure that we could still hunt there, because what if the unit was closed?
right.
So
Yeah. And
you
that's
know,
just you being responsible. That's just you being a good outdoorsman.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. And there was a time when I used to post, because I still think it's really cool when you trap and catch an animal, get a cool photo. And I stopped posting those for a while, not always my catches, but other people's, would send them in, because people were giving me too much flack about it. Like, I came to a point a couple of years ago where I just stopped caring about that. Like, there's no more apologizing for what we do, who we are. I'm not
No,
saying
no.
put
I mean,
a deer with his tongue hanging out and a huge bullet hole in his side. Like, be respectful. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. It is what it is. It's an animal that we caught, and I don't care. I'm definitely going to share that video of yours where you got the 10 coyotes and the
oh
one.
yeah, appreciate
So
that. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
And I would have stayed out there longer if I could,
Mm-hmm.
but I actually did get some threatening phone calls. Um, I have a voicemail of one if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Now this does have some language in it,
We'll bleep it out. It's no big deal.
but this is what I
And
have to
this is
deal with.
someone in Oklahoma calling you,
This
or
is someone who this is someone who saw my post from out when I was out west,
uh,
and I run that website, and I have my contact information on there, my
uh,
phone number, anyways. And they called my phone, um, and I'll just kind of let you, if it'll play it, I'll let you hear it.
yeah.
It always does this to me.
Hey, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. You and your whole family for killing all those animals. I will kill you. I come to Columbus, Ohio, and I would root you. I would destroy you, motherfucker.
Wow, what a coward.
Yeah, so he called back the next day. That was on a Wednesday. He called back the next day, and I answered the phone. I didn't have I would have answered that call, but I didn't have my phone on me. I was trapping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he called the following day, and I made sure I had my phone on with me, just in case my wife called or anything. And he didn't. He hung up just immediately, or whoever it was hung up. And I just kind of made the decision I should probably go home, just to be on the safe side. So I just kind of,
So you cut the trip short.
yeah. Oh yeah. I planned on being out there for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to try. I was really going to try. I was going to try and catch like 300 coyotes in 2 weeks.
Did you send the guy's number to the cops or anything?
So I did not do that until he called me again on Friday. And I answered it again. He didn't say a word and hung up. And so I called my cell phone carrier, which is AT&T,
Yeah.
and I called the police department, and they both said, we can't do anything to help you, sir, but we're sure this is probably just someone, being a little bit over the top. I said, okay, well, I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to have it documented that I called them, just in case if someone would show up and I would have to, protect my family.
God, crazy people, dude. That's that in a nutshell is exactly what's wrong with that side of the aisle. Like, and that's why they lost the election. It's like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
live and let live until you disagree with us.
Yep, exactly.
What? I'm sorry. I'm just over here helping this guy with his livestock problem. Oh, and by the way, I also enjoy it. What's wrong with that? You know?
Yeah. And
I'm going to kill you.
It's like a journal for me. I post almost every day. It's like a journal.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like you doing this kind of stuff. It's, man, you'll get to look back on this. Your kids will get to look back on this, all the stuff that you've done. I mean, that's cool. That's phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, well, it's too bad that the Karens and I don't know what we call that, the male version of a Karen. Is that a Chad or something? I don't know.
A Chad. I call him a Kenneth.
Kenneth, okay. Just a douchebag.
Or an indoorsman. I like to call him that too.
Yeah, you said that term earlier. I haven't heard that one. I might steal that one for future use. Put that
Yeah, well, it's pretty much just means douchebag.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a nice way of saying it. One line.
Right on. Well, Colt, give us your website and your socials and YouTube, all that stuff, where people can see what you're up to.
No, absolutely.
So the website's that's the other thing. I mean, it's educational. Like you want to learn how to trap. Watch Colt's stuff.
Hey, I really appreciate that. The website is www.coyote-academy.com. And then you can also find me at Coyote Academy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Right on, man. Well, yep, I'm enjoying seeing your stuff. So thanks again for the time today, and I hope you have a great rest of the season.
Hey, you reaching out to me was appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.